How about San Francisco? Are we going to see Mac Jones? It sure looks like it right now.
It does. Brock Purdy, he tried to come back after missing 2 games. He aggravated that toe injury. Those are tricky. It's not to the extent of the Joe Burrow injury that was surgery in 3 months, but still, anytime you're dealing with a turf toe-like injury, there's a lot of different things. Just the flexion of your foot can aggravate that thing. And set you back. For Brock Purdy, I understand why he wants to get out on the field. I understand why the 49ers want him on the field. And Mac Jones has played really well in his opportunities, but Brock Purdy is the guy that they paid. Brock Purdy is the guy who knows all the ins and outs of this offense. Brock Purdy is the guy who, really unleashes a lot of the different things that you can do. Mac has taken advantage of his opportunity. At minimum, you can sit there and go, listen, we're 3-0 with Mac. You've got time. You don't have to push yourself. Purdy's a competitor. He wants to be out there. But, Mac Jones isn't 100% either. But Mac Jones being close to 100% versus Brock Purdy, running the risk of yet another setback that sets him out for the long term, it certainly seems like the arrows are pointing toward another week of Mac Jones.
And it was interesting to listen to Kendrick Byrne talking about him playing with him, of course, in New England, about how he just sees a much more relaxed player. And I'm curious about you in terms of what you see in him and how he has changed and why you think it's working for him there.
The number one thing, Suzy, is Kyle Shanahan. Mac Jones is a classic Kyle Shanahan quarterback. And when they trade up to number 3 back in 2021, there's a reason that everybody believed it was for Mac Jones. That was a strong consideration for him before they kind of sold themselves on the upside of Trey Lance, had that second workout with him and all that. But if you talk about the traits that Kyle Shanahan looks for in a quarterback, it's somebody who is a fast processor, who is accurate with the football, and that Kyle can make automatic. Kyle Shanahan is as talented as anyone in the NFL at scheming people open, even when he doesn't have Brandon Ayuk, and they traded Deebo Samuel, and Ricky Pearsall is hurt, and Juwan Jennings is hurt. You watched the game last week, he's still scheming people open. Mac Jones he's a really good fit for that. And, nothing against, some of the people that Mac Jones is working with in New England, but there was no consistency. There was not a long standing, type of a scheme and a process and a plan like they have in San Francisco with Kyle being there almost a decade now. He's in the perfect spot for him. His little bit different personality. He's obviously hyper competitive. I know they talked about it on the broadcast last week. I heard that coming out in the draft that he was like the John McEnroe of the youth tennis circuit, growing up, that he would break rackets and all that type of stuff. But he's also kind of got this, aw shucks personality off the field. He's a really good fit for what they want to do. It's obvious that Mac is enjoying, every second of being able to get back out there and play. 49ers did a 2-year deal with him, by the way. So they've got one of the best values in terms of their backup quarterback, not just this year, but next year as well. But, bigger picture, you think about the other quarterbacks that have gone through and been, healed, so to speak, by either Kyle or Sean McVay. You saw Sam Darnold do that for a year, goes to Minnesota, then gets paid in Seattle. You saw Baker Mayfield for like 6 games, go to LA, then go to Tampa, and now he's back to being a star. Mac Jones could be the next one of those. And I think he's also an important reminder when we're quick to write off quarterbacks in particular as busts, and this guy can't play, and they got to get rid of him. I mean, New England shipped him off to Jacksonville for a late round draft pick, and there was no future for him in New England. But there are certain quarterback coaches, and I put Kyle Shanahan in that category, certainly offensive coaches that are just so good at what they do that just the schematics of the thing and the environment that they build, it helps engender that confidence that can put people back on track. And that's what we've seen for 3 games with Mac.
What about Pearsall and Jennings?
Ricky Pearsall has been, every injury that he's had, it seems like it takes him longer than they expect. It's always, we think he's going to be out here then. And it's another couple of weeks. It's the same thing in this case. He's got a knee issue that's going on. They thought that he would be back practicing by now. He wasn't out there. Doesn't mean he's not going to play on Sunday. And same thing with Juwan Jennings. He's got a couple of different injuries going on. He's been banged up kind of perpetually. The good news, you mentioned Kendrick Bourne, who we had on the Insiders the other night, one of, the happiest guy, the eternal optimist. He's just, blown away. But what did he have, like 10 catches for 140 yards or something crazy last week? Think about who they're throwing to. It was Kendrick Bourne, who wasn't on the team at the start of camp. Sky Moore, who they traded for during camp. Marquez Valdez-Scantling wasn't there during camp. And Demarcus Robinson was suspended at the start of the season. They're literally an entire JV number 2 unit wide receiver group, and they find ways to get those guys out there. Again, I remember saying this to Kyle Shanahan one time. I think it was during the Brandon Ayuk stuff last year, and I was sitting in his office, and I'm like, dude, well, you're as good at scheming up people as anybody. And he's like, yeah, it's a lot easier if you have good players to scheme it up for. And he's right. Elite receivers make everybody look better. But he finds a way. If you've got a trait, if you've got speed, if you've got route running ability, he's able to put you in positions to succeed. And that's one of the things that makes Kyle Shanahan special as a coach.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.